Of all places to end an episode of Noragami, you end the episode when Yukine gets split in half. You just see his body just split in half, he hits the floor, episode ends, ending song plays. I'm like, you fucking kidding me, right? You're kidding me. One thing I don't miss about Noragami is the cliffhangers. I remember this now. Now that I think about it, I remember Noragami ending in horrible cliffhangers with the first season. And seeing this, I'm like, yep, the memories are starting to come back. I'm starting to remember why some things, when it came to the cliffhangers in Noragami, kind of upset me a little bit, because we had to wait an entire week, and I'm like, fuck it, I want to read the manga, but I'm trying to hold back from reading the manga. So, anyways, episode of Noragami, a lot of characterization, a lot of character progression, along with setting up the plot for this arc while really getting it underway. For instance, we're getting closer and closer to the midway, maybe the finale of what this arc is trying to go towards. So it feels like this arc is going a lot faster than I expected it to go. I don't know if this is a good thing or not, because I thought this arc might have lasted at the very least 6 episodes, 6, maybe 7 episodes, but the way it's going, it could possibly end next week. I mean, it's not a bad thing as long as if they're not cutting anything out, but damn, just to see how fast it's going, seeing that we're already at the Yato versus Bishamon fight, and seeing how they're going at it, Yukine was cut in half, holy fuck, and then also what's going on with the blight, how, you know, Bishamon is blighted, and how she's going to die if something is not done very soon. I mean, there's just so much going on right now, along with how we're getting, like, to the final stages of what I think would be the plot of this arc, because, I mean, you have it to where we found out the main motive of the villain of this arc. Kuga, he wants to become the successor, for instance, like the advisor of Bishamon when she gets revived, and he's going to take the spot of Kazuma and advise Bishamon when she is revived. So we had more things introduced to us with this episode of Noragami. We do know, and it has been hinted at before, but we really get it just point blank straight told to us in this episode, that if a god dies, they do come back, depending on their followers. For instance, if they have thousands upon thousands or hundreds upon hundreds, you know, many people worshiping them and praying to them, and their name is known to the public, even though, let's say, the god dies, that god will be resurrected, will be reborn. And we saw an example of this in the episode where if Bishamon was to die, she would be brought back and she would look like a younger version of herself, like a newborn child, and then, you know, she might not probably retain all her memories from her previous life. So I'm going to assume if the god dies, they don't have all their memories from when they were once a god. They probably have a blank slate, like they're brand new. So that would mean that Bishamon would not remember Kazuma or anyone else, along with, you know, how this new advisor, Kuga, could just twist her to his will. Like, he could just use her until he's done. And then he could probably try to kill her off and then redo it all over again. Now, I could see something like that happening. But for now, though, it seems like with the plot going on, this sets up an entirely new thing for what we could expect in the end game of the series. Like, if you have a big backing like Bishamon has, that would mean that if you die, you're not necessarily dead. So it would mean that Yato, if he ever gets a huge following, he could be brought back to life and be fine. But if a god is a no-name god, and a god doesn't have a following, and if that god dies, well, we know what happens. They're gone for good. So this really goes to show you probably what happened to so many gods in the past, probably like god hunting or something, to where there's probably big-name gods that saw these littler gods and probably killed them all off, where they didn't have to worry about competition, along with probably worrying about these gods ever coming back. I could see something like that happening in the past. I'm willing to bet there might be an arc about that in the future. If it has not happened yet in Noragami's manga, I'm willing to bet it's bound to happen eventually, because for something like this to happen where gods can completely disappear or come back depending on their circumstance, it might be possible to where an entire god, religion and belief of the certain god can be killed off and overnight, to where this god completely disappears, and then you have it to where this other god that did it would grow stronger because of beliefs and stuff. I could see something like that happening. I could see an entire arc focusing around that. It would be a really cool arc to build up the world building or the backstory behind Noragami, what happened in the past, because we do know there's probably not that many gods as there probably was in the past, so I wonder if there is some relation to that. But for now, though, moving on, I have to say, I got a lot of black and white vibes, especially with what's going on here, like, you know, with belief and followers and stuff. If you ever played that game Black and White, I don't know how many know. I've talked to quite a few people over the years about Black and White. Not many know about what that game is, but if you know about Black and White, doesn't what's going on here with a battle between gods and stuff remind you of Black and White with how they're using their followers and, you know, all that to combat each other? It reminds me a lot of that game. But anyways, let's just move off of that, because I could be discussing, you know, Black and White for a long time, because it was one of my favorite games growing up. Okay, so we have it to where Hiori, she's in a bad situation. If she continues to stay disconnected from her body, she's gonna die, because she's, you know, in an entirely new world. She's in Bishamon's realm right now. If she stays there not going back into her body, well, she's going to die, and that's not good, because if she dies, what is the first thing that's gonna happen, besides her death, of course? Well, Yato, he won't have his connection to the real physical realm. He will not have that Hiori connection, and he won't be as strong as he is now, which brings up something I saw a Chibi mention a couple weeks ago, which I want to talk about. Just imagine if Yato had the following that Bishamon has, because look at this, okay? Bishamon is a straight-up monster. She's just wrecking house in this episode, and I mean, even though she doesn't have the control of Cosma controlling her actions and, you know, kind of maintaining the certain levels of power she uses, just imagine if Yato was that strong, being able to do that type of damage. It would be fucking scary, because just imagine how high level these fights could be if they had, like, millions of people backing them. That's scary, if you think about it. So Yato, to be able to put up this good of a fight with just really one person backing him, for instance, Hiori, it just goes to show you how strong he is as a god if he did have a backing like Bishamon. So yeah, but what makes Bishamon so skilled or unique as a god, though, is because she's able to take upon herself to watch over all these different spirits, her regula, and make a family, because not many gods, as we know, can have like 20, or even two at that's probably fucking hard. I mean, just imagine dealing with one person's emotions and being connected to their emotions, and it affects you physically and mentally. That's not good. So I mean, if you have 2 people connected to you, that's gonna be bad. And then if you have like 4, 10, 20, hundreds, fuck, you're just done. So Bishamon, she is a rarity among gods. Like, she's a rare case of gods that is able to have so many regulars under her wing and be able to be fine and be able to display so much power without crippling down and not being able to walk. Even though we do see examples that she is not as strong as she could be, it's still the point that to be able to have so many regulars, but still display that much power, she is a god you don't want to fuck with. And I think Yato understands that quite a bit. And we do know Yato isn't a stupid character, or a stupid person in general. I feel like he's probably going to figure out what is going on here. Like, there's something very off. For, you know, Bishamon to talk about how she doesn't know about Hiori, like, I don't know what you're talking about, and then also how the fight is going. I feel like there's something's going to happen to where Yato is going to realize something's going on here. But before that, though, I already sense the rage mode happening next week. I sense it. It might have not been shown in the preview, but I can already see the rage mode happening with Yato. I feel like Yato, he's going to break down, because after seeing Yukine, like his only regular, just snap in half in front of him, I feel like he's just going to go off the deep end, because that this is like his family. I mean, like, what's Bishamon trying to do right now? She's trying to protect her family. Like, she's wanting to protect her family, doesn't want her family hurt. And what is Yato kind of doing? He's trying to protect his family and the person that believes in him, Hiori, and her family. So, thinking about it like that, if this person that's his family dies in front of him, that's going to probably push Yato over the edge. And he hasn't really lost his connection to the physical realm yet, because he still has Hiori alive. So, he's not really weak right now. He just won't have his regular. So I feel like this is going to turn into something very bad next week. Like, we're probably going to get to see Yato just go all in, pedal to the metal, go rage mode, and we're really going to get to see why he was feared as a god in the past. Also, I'm theorizing that it might be possible that Nora, she might pop up. I feel like Nora might pop up and allow Yato to use her while he fights Bishamon. I feel like something like that might happen. I could be wrong, but I do see something like that happening if Nora pops up and tries to help out Yato, and then we see the entire ordeal with Bishamon dying. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this episode of Noragami. Tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You'll have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.